The following stories were submitted by real people. They don't have explanations. They do have one thing in common. Whoever was there was not supposed to be. These are 3 of the most disturbing encounters ever shared on Reddit. Turn the lights off. Make sure you're alone. Let's begin. I moved into my apartment in November. The building had 12 units. I was told 9 of them were occupied. I never questioned it. 3 weeks in, I started noticing the man across the hall. He never left during the day. I only ever saw him at night, standing in his doorway, watching the elevator. I assumed he worked night shifts. I assumed a lot of things back then. The first time he spoke to me, I was coming home at 2 a.m. from a late shift at the hospital where I worked. He said my name. Not hey or excuse me, my full name, first and last. I had never introduced myself to him. I had never introduced myself to anyone in that building. I told myself maybe the landlord mentioned it. I told myself that for about 3 days. Then I checked my mailbox and found a single piece of paper inside. No envelope, no postage, just a folded piece of paper. It had tomorrow's date written at the top. Below it, in neat handwriting, a list of everywhere I had been that day. The coffee shop on 4th, the pharmacy, the park where I ate lunch alone. Every location, every time. Written down before it had happened. I went to the landlord that evening. He listened, then went very quiet. He told me that unit directly across from mine had been vacant for 8 months. Nobody lived there. Nobody had a key except him. He went to check. The door was unlocked. The unit was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no belongings, except for one thing. On the floor of the main room, arranged in a perfect line, photographs. Photographs of me, taken from inside my apartment. The window in the photos showed a camera angle that could only exist from one place, from directly across the hall. I never went back to that building. I don't talk about what was in the rest of those photos. Some things you decide to leave behind, not because you forget them, but because remembering them is how they follow you. The next story was posted to r/LetsNotMeet 2 years ago. The user has since deleted their account. Make of that what you will. I grew up in a house at the end of a dead-end road in rural Vermont. My parents traveled for work, a lot. By the time I was 16, I was used to being alone for days at a time. I thought nothing of it. That changed the summer before I turned 17. I came home from a friend's house on a Friday night around 11. The front door was locked, which was normal. All the lights were off, which was also normal. I went inside, made food, watched TV, fell asleep on the couch. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. There was a glass of water on the coffee table. A full glass of water. I hadn't put it there. I was fully awake within about 2 seconds. I sat completely still and listened to the house. The house was not quiet. From somewhere upstairs, slow, measured footsteps. The kind of footsteps someone makes when they're trying not to make footsteps. I did not call out. I did not move for what felt like 4 minutes. Then the footsteps stopped. Then a door closed, very softly. I left through the back door and ran to my neighbor's house half a mile away. She called the police. They searched the house for 40 minutes. They found nothing. No sign of entry, no one inside. I was almost convinced I'd imagined it. Until the officer came out and asked me one question. He asked if I had a crawl space. I said yes, under the stairs. He asked if I ever used it. I said no, never. He went back inside for another 10 minutes. When he came out, he didn't say much, just that I should stay somewhere else that night. I asked him what they found. He said the crawl space had been set up, a sleeping bag, a water bottle, a small battery-powered lamp, and a notebook. He wouldn't tell me what was in the notebook, but his hands were shaking when he came out. I never moved back into that house. My parents sold it 8 months later to a family who I hope never found anything I don't know about. Sometimes I still think about that notebook, and I think about how many nights I slept in that house not knowing that I wasn't alone. The final story for tonight is the one I hesitated to include. Not because I don't believe it, because I do. This happened to my sister. I'm telling it because she won't. She was driving home alone from a concert, late, past midnight. Rural highway, maybe 40 minutes outside the city. About 20 miles in, she noticed headlights behind her. Close. Too close for an empty highway at that hour. She slowed down, expecting them to pass. They slowed down too. She sped up. They sped up. She spent the next 15 minutes trying to convince herself it was a coincidence. Just someone going the same direction, just bad driving. Then her phone rang, unknown number. She answered. A man's voice. Very calm, he said, "Don't stop the car." She almost ended the call, but something in his voice made her keep listening. He said he had been behind her for the last 10 miles. He said he was a retired police officer driving home from his daughter's house. He said there was a man in her back seat. She looked in her rearview mirror. The car behind her flashed its high beams. Once, twice. She did not look at the back seat. She called 911 and drove directly to the nearest gas station, 14 miles ahead. She pulled into the lot with her horn pressed down. The car behind her pulled in too. A man in his 60s got out. Retired officer. His name was in the system. He had seen someone climb into her unlocked car in the concert parking lot. He had been following her, waiting for a signal, trying to get her number through a mutual connection at the venue. The police searched her car. There was no one in the back seat, but the rear floor had a pair of gloves on it, and zip ties, neither of which belonged to my sister. She had locked her car. She had checked before she left. They found a side window with a broken locking mechanism. Clean break, recent. Someone knew what they were doing. The man was never found. My sister doesn't drive alone at night anymore. I don't blame her. I don't think you will either. 3 stories. 3 people who thought they were safe. If any of these happened to you, or someone you know, leave it in the comments. We read every single one, and some of them we'll be back for. Subscribe. Stay dark.